Welcome to the SLT pod. You know what time it is. We are here. We're two up today. There's one missing, but you know we're still all one big team. It is me, Ziggy Moore, assistant head and founder of More Education. You have my co-host.
History.
Is that what you're going to give us?
That's all I need.
That's all we're going to get. Mystery, Miss Johnson, I'll do it then. Send co-extraordinaire. And we also have a special guest. We've got another guest on today. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Olulari. It's such a pleasure to be here. My day job is I work as the National Education Lead for Racial Justice for the National Society, the Church of England Education Office. I also run my own education consultancy and I am a coach.
Wow. Do you hear that? National. We've gone national. We get the big guests on the SLT podcast. So, all right, fantastic. Thank you for introducing yourself, Elizabeth, and thank you for coming on. Now, we first got in contact because of the program you run. What's the name of it again?
Leaders Like Us.
Leaders Like Us. All right, could you tell us a little bit more about the Leaders Like Us program, right?
Yeah, yes, definitely. I mean, that is just music to my head. I can talk about the Leaders Like Us 24/7.
Good thing you're on a podcast. That's what we do here on a podcast. Go.
Okay, so I think there needs to be like the starting point is why Leaders Like Us. Mm-hmm. So if you're not aware, there is a report out by the NFER that looks at the underrepresentation of teachers from non-white, or what I rather call global majority heritage in the UK. Mm-hmm. Some other people would like to use the term UKME, so the UK minoritized groups, looking at representation in education in the UK. And that graph shows you that from every single stage of what you might want to call career advancements for teachers, apart from when there's application, we are severely underrepresented. Now, let me paint a very clear picture for you why I said apart from application. If you Google and you find this graph, it is widely out there, or just drop me an email. I'm happy to send it to you.
Okay, we'll get the email along the bottom of your screen.
Yeah. Send me and I'll show you this graph. You would see that there is an overrepresentation of teachers from a UKME, GMH background applying to be teachers. Okay. Yes, I said that. People think we don't want to be teachers.
So you're saying we're overrepresented at application stage.
At application stage.
But when it gets to what stage when we get to the actual teachers on the ground, underrepresented?
Underrepresented. Wow. Let me throw you a little story out there, and I can't believe I'm about to. This is a real story. Mm-hmm. When in my very first year of teaching in a faith school, I saw a senior leader differentiate applications. Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Based on the sound of their names.
I remember there was something, I think, in the David Cameron government where they spoke about it, but you're saying you saw it with your two eyes.
I am a trainee teacher, right? Teaching is hard, just saying. PGC is interesting, it's difficult, but we got there, we passed with distinctions, and I literally saw an old white man. Senior leaders.
No, straight, honest.
That's the senior leadership, right, in our schools. And he literally just went, no, yes, based on the sound of their name. He even made a comment of, I can't even pronounce this name.
Can I ask you a question? You're a woman of colour, and your background is you are a Yoruba woman, is that correct? Yes. Okay. How did that make you feel, like, as a trainee teacher? Like, that you hear of discrimination, like you can hear of it, and in the modern age, sometimes it's not as visceral or as palpable as it is. How did it make you feel, literally seeing that?
So, I literally was in shock. I don't know if any of you would attest, but for me, whenever I experience aggression or microaggression, I genuinely do not know what to do at that point in time. I need time to reflect on what has just happened. And I'm just kind of like, did that just happen? And if you look at the power dynamics, I'm a trainee teacher. I needed to pass, right? You know, and it's not even someone who I would say we're colleagues, because there's that power dynamic of we are training you. It's not you're my colleague, right? So I just thought at that point I was in my, I used a different surname then, and my marital surname, and it was white presenting. So I call languages like that white presenting or whitewashing. And I think that's one of the reasons why my application came through. Because, and I do not want to say that name but it was a white presenting name compared to my name right now, which is Elizabeth Olulari. You would tell that, okay, you can't really picture. I have a friend, his name is James Smith, he's Ghanaian, and he tells me the amount of shock, like when they go, who's James Smith? And he goes, I. They're like, oh, So
I've had that many times. Or are you the person that I spoke to on the phone? Yes, I am. Next question.
So that's why I shared that story, because when you look at that graph, you would see an overrepresentation. And that is just one story to suggest why, straight from when they put in their application, there is a massive decline. A massive decline. So from who puts an application to complete their PGCE. And I just heard, I was fortunate to be in Nottingham doing some work around governors like us. So there's a sickle coming up here. And a gentleman said to me, he's from an African heritage. He has a PhD. And they rejected him twice for PGCE. Like, how do you...
Maybe people don't really understand. So he's a PhD, which is a level 8?
Yes.
Level 8, called like the highest educational level. And he's coming down to do a level 7 qualification, or level 6, can't remember. And he was rejected.
He took him two times. And it was quite embarrassing, because one of the schools that he did apply for first was in the gathering. Until today, they never gave him feedback. Because that's another issue. Is the feedback constructive? Or, like in my experience, I've been to interviews where they just looked for a polite way of saying, you're black. So back to that graph, overrepresentation. And then when you go from PGCE, and in my time, it was called NQT. So, but now it's called ECT. So ECT 1, ECT 2, you go to middle leader, senior leader, head teacher, governors, and the decline is massive. When you look at that graph, there's a little bit of an increment where you get a bit more people who are racialized as black as middle leaders. Because they need people to be the phase leads, to be the head of years, you know, that very, very emotional, laborious work. You see them being middle leaders. So there's a tiny incline over there. And after that, we have less than 1% of head teachers in the UK racialized as black.
I'm going to challenge as well. Let me challenge. Because I know this is a challenge that would come up. I know in this country, specifically in the UK, we represent people who identify as black. The figure changes. So let's say 4%. For argument's sake, yeah? So why would we expect more than 4% of teaching staff across the country to be black? That's something that I think is a reasonable argument, yeah? So why is this huge push for there to be 4% of teachers to be black? There are only 4% of you in the country. And that's not a lot in a country of nearly 70 million people. So why? Tell us, Elizabeth.
Okay, so I love that question, because it still goes back to my why.
Yeah.
Now, I am someone who is passionate about everybody. I really want everyone to flourish,
Mm-hmm.
right? Flourishing in all his goodness, John 10:10. However, when you look at the classroom to prison pipeline, which is another fantastic report. Yes, you know where
That's
I'm
a
going.
good comeback. That's good.
Yeah, you know where I'm going.
Okay.
There's an overrepresentation in the prisons. Now, if, for example, there was an underrepresentation in the prisons and an underrepresentation in education in the classrooms, I would have no problem with it, right? But we are overrepresented in the prison system. I have a problem with that. Why are our young Black boys in prison? Why are they not being CEOs? Why are they not being entrepreneurs? Why are they not being teachers? Where there's a disconnect somewhere. And I was reading is it Axis, the BBC documentary? That's the one.
Small Acts, yeah.
And someone said being in school was hell.
Yeah.
It broke my heart.
Yeah.
Why would a young person say being in school was hell? So you can imagine that young person might not want to be in education or be a teacher. But I digress. The whole idea of the leaders like us, like we've alluded to, is to speak directly into this underrepresentation of UKME, GMA teachers in senior leadership. And I say senior leadership in particular because you can't be what you can't see. Representation matters. We need everyone, both girls and boys, to see I can be an assistant head like you. Do you see? Like they need to see that they can flourish.
So, all right. That was I love what you did there, Elizabeth. But I had to ask. So, Ree, you went on the leaders like
I did.
what was cohort 1? Oh yeah. Just tell us a bit about your experience. Well, I think firstly, why did you decide to go on the program, the Leaders Like Us program?
So, for me, you know that everything is grounded in faith.
Yeah.
And so because the Church of England, you know, they've got the whole called, committed, connected, that resonated with me because I think sometimes, and this isn't a criticism, I think sometimes people can put out programs and they have good intention, but it can be quite tokenistic. And so it felt very sincere for me. And as far as I'm aware, it's the first of its kind.
It is.
So I was like, oh my gosh, of course I want to be a part of this. You know, it was absolutely amazing. Like the launch event. My goodness. Yes, I'm going to bow and salute because it was phenomenal. Like the building that you picked, you had to have been there.
Oh, sorry. Why wasn't I there?
I knew he was going to say that. I knew.
No, I'm just. So were you there?
So that part is going to be cut.
No. Were you there?
Yes.
And you were there?
Yes.
Okay, could somebody in the room
And Jordan
explain?
was there.
And Jordan was Sorry, I just want to look directly. I hope you guys heard this, yeah? My 2 co-hosts were there. Our guest was there. Oh my gosh, this ceremony. So sometimes on the pod where you pick up a dynamic where it's a 2 against 1, yeah? I want this to be the point where it's established. But it's fine, it's continuing. I'm solid in my... Tell me about this amazing
He's
event.
always playing the victim.
Yeah. The victim card, yeah. Go on.
No, you know, there was a genuine sense of camaraderie and togetherness. It wasn't just like a networking event or, you know, there are nibbles, help yourself, and we're going to do a presentation. It wasn't like that at all. And shout out to Andy Wolf as well. Very good speaker. In fact, you met him when he came with me to get my certificate.
Oh, I was invited for the certification. Brilliant. All right, thank you. I love that. Thanks.
That part can be cut. No, yeah, it like I said, it felt very, very sincere. It was the first of its kind, and I thought, my goodness, what a brilliant initiative that's grounded in Christianity.
But so you don't have to be a Christian.
No, and you don't have to be working in a faith school. So at the time,
Okay.
I was working at as church and all small, but that's not a prerequisite.
That's not a prerequisite.
That was just my personal.
Okay, all right, just making sure. Okay, so great. So you guys do like great food. You do a good party.
Yes.
That's the rumor.
Did you come to the one in Birmingham?
Tier venue.
Did you
No,
come
I
to?
didn't.
Oh, that one was wicked. Like,
Does that make you feel better?
Well, that was invited to the one in Birmingham. That makes me feel
okay, but
even. But no, fun jokes aside, please break the program down for us because we've heard from cohort 1. Just break for like the lay person, yeah.
Okay.
Who is it for? What do I have to do? Yeah, just like break, please.
Let's do this. So, who is it for? It is for everybody or anybody who is politically racialized as Black. So, from a UKME or GMH background, and you have to be in education. Okay? You have to be in education. And you do have to have a QTS.
Okay.
So you're a fully qualified teacher, and we're going to be supporting you into senior leadership. Okay. Now, it's an 18-month program, and it's fully funded.
Okay.
Even your transportation to and fro from events, we will reimburse you.
Oh, wow.
So, and one of the things I'm so proud about, I'm very passionate about, is we finally now have accessibility bursary. Because I realized for females who are maybe the primary caregivers.
Yeah, childcare.
Well, you took it out of like, yes.
Yeah.
So
that's a big thing.
It is a big thing.
Yeah.
So there is accessibility bursary for you to put your child or children with registered childminders to attend.
No, that is big.
Yeah. It is massive.
That is big.
And that's why...
it does. Sorry to interject. One of the things is there are some of our teachers are more education. I recommended them, and this was a question. One of the questions that, and I couldn't answer it, and I didn't think about it. So the fact that it's been addressed,
it is.
I know there are so many potential middle leaders who, because of, and so many are coming to my mind at the moment. So many brilliant teachers I've seen who want to. That is something that holds them back. So that's amazing. Sorry to cut in.
No. It is. I like the interaction. So it is fully funded. Now, please do listen to me because it gets a little bit complex here. It is multifaceted, and there are like 4 moving parts, if you would like to say. So the first part is the one we spoke about, which is the networking. And across the 18 months, looking at the new cohorts, we might be having 11 networking events. Okay? So you're going to have 3 in person, which is the launch event, which you're talking about. We did in Salesforce, the celebration one, which you came to. We did it in Westminster. And then there's a middle one we're hoping to bring back again, which is in Birmingham. We're just trying to be geographically diverse as well. So it's not everything London. All the timings is between 10 and 3. Again, we're thinking of childcare, we're thinking about accessibility, and we're thinking about that extra labor. I call it black tax, but that's a different conversation altogether, right? So those 3 are in person, and they are spread across 18 months. So the release out of school, we can talk about that. So that's the networking. And like you said, one of the beautiful things about the networking is we've got faith in leadership. So that's where we get people of faith to come in to say, how does their faith and leadership intersect?
I spoke to... I think you missed it at the where it had David Clement spoke about.
Yes.
He's somebody I'd love to get on the pod as well. Like he's faith
amazing.
in leadership. Yeah, really.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So we have amazing people like Father Azariah, Bishop Rose coming to speak, Reverend Angeli coming to speak. And like you said, I'm also a person of faith. So there's something about prayer, especially when things go, this is too much. And one thing I've noticed is burnout. Burnout is real right now. And it's so nice to just bring that burnout to the foot of the cross with friends and colleagues and leave it there. And we talk about things, we support one another. It's a real supportive professional network. Okay? So that's the networking. That is compulsory. Meaning, if you sign up, you do have to attend those 11 networks. That's not to say if you've got like parents' evening or something, life happens, that's calm.
But you have to commit.
Yeah, you're committing, save those dates in your calendar. Then the other one is mentoring. Now, I do not need to go on about how important mentoring is and how it's good to have a really good mentor.
Mhm.
So we will give you a mentor who is already a senior leader in school. That is not optional, so you have to have a mentor.
Mhm.
Okay? Now, the other two parts are optional. Training. We give you access, wait for it, any MPQ of your choice, and aspiring heads. And as you know, we have a new government,
Mhm.
and MPQs are no longer state funded, which I'm a little bit upset about. Yes, it is only the P50 schools. So you have to first of all check if your school is part of the P50 schools
Mhm.
that the government have said this. If you're a teacher in these schools, you can still do the MPQ and the state will fund
Hold
it.
on, what's the MPQ? Break that down, because
MPQ
Yeah.
is a national professional qualifications. For example, if you want to be in senior leaders, so like the one I've done my MPQSL, which is my national professional qualification for senior leadership. It's kind of looking at the theory about being a senior leader. If I was still in the classroom, the next one I'll be looking to do my MPQH,
okay.
which is for headship.
Yep,
And then now, we've got exec heads, we've got CEOs because of the academies. That's a different conversation. But you can do, after your H, you can go and do your EL, so your exec leadership.
Wow.
And then so on and so forth.
So you're saying you can do this qualification with leaders like us, and it's fully funded.
Yeah. If you don't come through leaders like us,
Yeah.
you can't tap into the funding.
Okay. Wow.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
So you've got to be like, hi, I want to do leaders like us.
Mhm.
And then I'll say to you, what training pathway do you want to go on?
Mhm.
Bearing in mind it's optional. So you could even say, I've got every qualification under the sea. Like I've told you about the gentleman who has a PhD. Like, come on. He has every single qualification under, So he's like, Elizabeth, what next? Like,
Mhm.
do you get? So, and aspiring heads are very lovely friends, Nadine.
Yeah, no, Dave. I don't have my aspiring hat on today, but sorry, but we were at the conference. We were
on
there.
Saturday.
Yeah. We're looking to get Nadine on as well. So yeah, we're plugged in with aspiring heads and what they're doing. So how's that connection? Explain that connection, please.
That relationship is one I inherited, and I love Ethan and Nadine. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we would have a conversation with the delegates and go, where are you in your career? So for example, imagine if we have someone who's done MPQSL, MPQH, we might, and they have not yet secured a headship role.
Yep.
I will be suggesting to them, would you like to do aspiring heads?
Okay.
Which is run on a Saturday remotely. And if they go directly to aspiring heads, they would have to pay.
Okay.
But if they come through us, it's fully funded.
Okay.
So they don't need to worry about finances. I just send their name over to the amazing Ethan and then all done. Yeah. And
Ethan does that work, man.
He does.
He's efficient.
He is.
He is efficient. I've got to big up Ethan because
Yes, you should see Ethan.
He's in the. No, we love Nadine, you with me, but Ethan's in the background. Yeah, and I was saying to him, I've got to get. He's like, no. I'm like, no.
You should see them as my spreadsheet. He's so good. Like, I don't have to worry about Ethan. I'm just like, this little just says, Elizabeth, just send me the names. I would onboard all of them, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then we just keep talking all through the 18 months, and we're good to go.
So you're saying, in essence, over the 18-month period, you can gain this qualification.
Yes.
And being linked, you can receive so gain a qualification.
Yeah.
Receive mentoring.
Yeah.
Network with the type of people who you're supposed to be networking in order to get into those positions.
Exactly.
Is there a fourth thing?
There's a fourth one, shadowing. So when I said we'll give you a mentor, we will give you and support you to be able to go and shadow your mentor for a maximum of 5 days. i.e. we now have accessibility bursary to even support you with accommodation. So in some instances, like there's one particular one I'm trying to navigate now. The delegate is in London and the mentor is 3 hours away. So like we already spoken off camera, release is a problem. You know, some schools don't want to release, but this
What do you mean some schools don't want to
So
release?
unfortunately, some people in schools are still gatekeepers to people's progression in life. So, for example, you've signed up this gentle person to do the Leaders Like Us program.
Yeah.
It's now time for them to go and physically spend time and space with their mentor to actually see in action what is going on. And they're like, oh, we can let you out of school. We can let you out of the classroom. We need you, you know. And it's like, it's optional in that you can do 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4, 5. Just don't go, no. Like, even just let them out one night. So 2 days.
It benefits the school.
It benefits the school. I had to write a very long email explaining, because the email was, hi, blah, blah, blah. How would your shadowing benefit the school? And I'm like, what's senior leadership all about?
That sounds quite passive aggressive. How would your shadowing benefit our school?
Yeah.
I know the type of email I'd respond to. But yeah, go on.
So I had to
I would like to see your response.
You know how I do with the program.
I like that language. Enemy of progress.
They're about.
Yeah, so I had to do a very lovely professional email. And this is it. As I'm a coach, I coach, and not only me, I've got other coaches on demand. I coach all our delegates through sticky situations in a professional way. Okay, I would affirm your emotions, because one of the very important things I've noticed people want to know, this is not in their head. You know, they're not making this up. But at the same time, we need to learn how to navigate these professionally and with dignity and with respect. So, yes, we want, you know, my CEO said, if Elizabeth can't win them over, nobody can. And hopefully, God willing, I never have a no, because I'm just like, oh, well, how about? Oh, well, what about?
Oh. Yeah. You two obviously went to the same school.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so the four aspects. Right. Okay, wonderful. So I'm gonna ask. I have 2 questions. So one would be, well, once I've finished this whole 18-month slog, are you going to be able to get me a job as a senior leader?
So we can't guarantee you will get a job, but I want you to hear that we are strongly advocating for you. Okay. So I have, and I say this humbly, with God's faithfulness and love, I've been able to get really close allies in 2 of the 5 leading recruitment agencies. Who have my personal mobile number. And that is such a privilege, because they are coming to me directly with jobs. And I have a number of CEOs, and I say this again, humbly and respectfully, who have my mobile number, and I have theirs, and they're saying to me, hi, Elizabeth, I have a job vacancy.
Who have you got?
Literally.
That's what you need.
So I now joke that now I'm not only designer, coach, I'm now a headhunter, y'all. I'm now a recruiting agency.
In modern day vernacular, the word for that would be called the plug. Yes.
I am, yeah.
Yes, you're the plug. Nice.
But not only are we able to share, so the networks is quite, I try and get everyone communicating in one way or another. So I'm constantly saying, hi guys, this job is out there. Hi guys, that's there. But I also say, if you're going to apply for this job, please let me know. Yeah. Because we're going to coach you. So I spent about 2 hours last week, Friday, just coaching someone to apply for a job role. Just the paper coach, not even in the door yet. So we coach you from everything. So like just writing the application, writing your personal statement, we coach you. We coach you. And then when you do get shortlisted, by God's grace, you come back to us, we coach you for the interview. We coach you for all the activities. And I remember there was one evening last academic term, I was so downtrodden because, I have disabilities, and it was a day I was struggling, and I just got a text message on my phone, Elizabeth, I got the job. And I'm like, this is why I do the work.
You need those.
This is why I do that. And one last plug, I have a CEO who said to me, Elizabeth, whoever you send to me, I guarantee they'll be shortlisted.
That's what you need.
And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And she's like, no, I understand the barriers. And she goes, when they apply, I need them to say,
leaders like us. Leaders like us. Wonderful. Right. Okay. So, all right. So, this one may be a bit more controversial.
Okay.
This is left of field as well. I know there's current conversation around reparations happening in the news at the moment, and anybody who has an understanding and history of the Church of England know that the Church of England benefited hugely from the enslavement of African people around the world. Have they acknowledged that this is this part of that repairing, or is this come out of some kind of fund for that, or some kind of acknowledgement from the Church of England? Because I know some people may be reticent or skeptical because it's been headed by, but when I first saw it, I saw this is the type of project that, for me, what reparations or repairing looks like, as opposed to like, all right, everyone needs 50 grand. Something like this that acknowledges disenfranchisement and goes some way within a specific sector to repair it. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that's been discussed or if that's overt in its framing of leaders like us.
Yeah. So you said quite a few things there in terms of...
I rambled a bit, sorry.
No. It's really good. No, like real key things. So you spoke about funding and, the thing of follow the money. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You spoke about reparations. You spoke about some sort of you think this is a good, and I'm going to put words in your mouth, a systemic change, doing a program that is sustainable rather than tokenistic.
Yes.
Of everyone have 50K and leave us alone.
Yeah.
Right? The conversation about reparations is massive, and I'm not going to suggest I'm the expert on it, but there is information on the website and free podcasts, actually, where they're spoken about how they're doing this and what it looks like. So I'm not going to cover that because there are already lots of materials out there on the website to cover how they're doing it and what they're doing. I'm going to speak about the funding and say yes. So the Archbishop's Council, which if you remember, the Archbishop Council is the one who did the Race Commission, where the recommendations came out. And there were 44 recommendations. And out of the 44 recommendations, teacher recruitment and retention of underrepresented groups is part of it. So a long-winded way of saying yes, but trying to provide evidence to support it is, if you're going by the documentation from Lament to Action, which is the Church of England's response, to race inequalities. So if you look down under the section education, where I sit in, and you look at the work we're doing at Leaders Like Us, which I think is E2, then I'll say yes. It's a direct response to what the commission said needs to be done. Whether or not I would say this is reparation, I think I would have to leave that to the reparation experts to say this is.
But you say more so it's an acknowledgement of...
Yeah, and is a positive response to this. But if I had Professor Paul Miller here, who is a legend, and you're looking at his paper on BAME, minorities and underrepresentation, he has this 4-part module. And I think he talks about meritocratic agency. He talks about 4 things. I'm not going to try and remember what we mimic 3 of the 4. The last 4 is institutional habitus. And that means the government itself. So I guess what I'm trying to say is what we're doing is great, but there are still systemic barriers that only the government, through change in policy, and that's why I'm very interested in policy and, you know, the assessment one that is coming out. I'm very interested to see what it looks, because it is policy that drives this. So yes, we can do all the mentoring, the shadowing, the qualifications, right? But until we have what Professor Paul Miller calls institutional hibiscus, which is the framework, the foundations need to be changed and spoken into, which it's above my pay grade, you know? So I think I'm calling off to the government to do something about the underrepresentation, because the stats are out there. NFER has put it out there.
What do we do?
Yeah.
Wonderful. And just to, wow, that was a powerful answer. Just to wrap us up, I want to apply. If somebody wants to apply for the Leaders Like Us, what cohort are we on now?
Cohort 3 opens on the 17th of January, 2025.
Okay. Yeah.
However, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, applications close on the 22nd of November, 2024.
Okay.
That said, applications for cohorts 4, if I can remember at the top of my head, will be opened May next year.
Okay, so May 2025. The May 2025, is when you're opening the next
cohort 4.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. So
and even if you want more information, you can just email you.
Yeah, just email me or jump on the website. My email address will be on the screen. Or if you just go to llu@churchofengland.org, I can send both to you. Yeah.
Brilliant. Elizabeth, it has been lovely speaking to you about Leaders Like Us, and the work you're doing is amazing. It's the type of work that we need. It's not just kind of rhetoric, it's the reality of it happening. So thank you so much for the amazing work you do. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you. All right.